I realized when I had this down here like this, it looked like I had arms growing out of my ears. Yeah.
Kind of like three because that pole behind you in your picture that goes behind your head, it looks
Yeah.
like a third arm.
Or an antler. That's funny. Yeah. That's an old, that's in, shoot, where is that? That's in Virginia. Um, that's those three ships that sailed over and they built what? Oh goodness, I can't. Is it Jamestown? Jamestown, Virginia, where the those three ships sailed into. Well, they built mock-ups of them, and they have them there. They got a whole museum there and that tells the history. It's really, really, really cool. Well, it's 10:01. Think we should get started, or do you want to give them a couple more minutes to
Let's
the
give him let's give him 2 minutes and then we'll get started.
Okay. So when is your coaching over, you said?
The 16th of August.
Okay.
But here's the bad part about it. August the 8th, I'm going to go to Alaska. We fly out to Alaska, and the family, it's a family thing. I have a niece and her husband family are there. My sister-in-law, spouses, my husband and I are going to meet them there, and we're going to spend the night in Seattle on the 8th at night, and then we fly out again the 9th. So I'm going to do my best to keep working on my stuff. And my family's not real happy about it, including my husband. We just got back from San Diego and I worked on my stuff there, and I was told by two entre people not to do it, but I did it anyway. So that was a little bit on the rough side because my husband didn't want me to do it and I did it anyway. And even though I did it, we come home and we had to go through some obstacles that we had to manage. And then we get here, he leaves to go 3 hours away, and he picks up the grandchildren and then he brings them back. And they were here, and he left with them yesterday evening, and drove 10 hours.
Ooh, by himself, huh? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
the children. And of course, I'm here and I'm still working on my stuff. And I had a family thing with my son invited me to something, and I went ahead and I went, but the entire time I was there, I worked on the computer. I think I spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes with he and the family. So it's been, and then yesterday I kind of had a meltdown because I couldn't get my computer to work properly. It was too slow, and I was trying to do a Loom video, and I had to finally just give it up. I tried, and then I did a live TikTok the before that, but to get ready for this, whatever it was that I was trying to do, I did like 25 takes, and
Ooh,
then finally,
wow.
yeah, I finally got what I wanted, but it's still I missed the mark because I was supposed to tell the audience, tell the target people how to get into my group and kind of walk them through it. And I didn't do any of that because I didn't know. So, and then finally, I have a young man that he lives here with us. I met him through Entra, and I was just real frustrated. And it's not like he did anything wrong. I was just trying to express myself, what's going on, so he can help me. And I'm not very good at that. So it was like, I finally said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I need to go to bed because this morning I had to be at my workout at 7 to 8. So it's like, go to bed, go to bed.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to shut the switch off, you know. I mean, we all want this so bad that sometimes we sacrifice, you know, our personal lives with our family and our friends, or our sleep, or we sacrifice our health. And so I think we all go through those motions, you know. So do know that I think everybody has, even though it may be a little bit different for each person and how they handle it, it is part of business. And I can say, when I started my construction company too, many years back, um, man, I got so skinny because there's a rock song out there, that says, I want to be a rock star. We all stay skinny because we just don't eat because there's just no time, and they're pushing for a goal and they just don't eat. So, I was nonstop and working 7 days a week. And man, I didn't even realize it, until later on. But I mean, I pushed hard like that for probably a solid 2 or 3 years until my business started actually making money, you know, because I mean, I was making money, I was making revenue, but I was having to buy equipment and tools. And so everything I made for the first 2, 3, 4 years just went right back into the business. I didn't really start making decent money till about my 5th year in. Yeah. And then that's also, you know, hiring people. I think my first 3 years I had 3 employees. Um, and then I started growing that as time went on and more revenue started coming in. So there's things to be thankful for in the online world because there's some of that stuff you don't have to mess with, which can also be a headache and very frustrating. But it's a learning experience. And my recommendation on any of that is just take that frustration, journal it, write it down. For one, that's a venting aspect of journaling is just getting it out there because you feel like nobody else understands, and you just want to like scream at the top of your lungs, or cry, or uh, laugh so hysterical you think you're nuts, whichever it is. But you can do that with a pen. And the cool part about that is then you can turn around and repurpose that and train that to folks and be like, this is what I'm doing, and this is why, and this is how how I experienced it. These are the things I experienced. So then you can turn around and teach others that it's normal. So that would be my recommendation, is if you don't do it already. And this is also, I'm talking straight to myself because that's something I need to get better at as well. Sometimes I'm really good at it, but then I have these long spells where I don't journal, But the thing is, I literally have boxes of notebooks, big old thick notebooks, literally boxes that I've saved throughout my life. And they're up in Michigan right now. But one day I'd like to get back up there, grab those boxes, and go back through those notebooks and recall the times that I went through, recall those hard times, because that was typically when I would journal, would be in the hard times. And I did it in the form of like poetry. So I would write poetry or I'd write songs. Because I was, heavy into music and playing music back then.
Mhm.
So, but all the songs have a story, and all the poetry has a story that's usually revolves around the situation that I was going through. So I don't know if that's helpful to you or not, but maybe try it and then let me know if it is or not.
I guess I'll try it. I will try it because
Doesn't hurt. I mean, for one, it lets you vent. The two biggest things, it lets you vent, and there ain't nobody going to judge. Your notebook's not going to judge you, right? It's not going to make fun of you. It's not going to yell at you, unless you get a paper cut off of it, and then you're yelling at it, right? Then you get to yell back at it. But so for one, you get to vent. for two, you know that when you journal, it's a story. The most successful people on the planet are big storytellers. You think about everybody online that's selling, they always have this impactful story. Well, it's impactful because it means something to you because you're going through or have went through a similar situation. So in other words, do you think there's other people out there that are going through something similar feelings like you have?
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I was thinking that this morning. It's like what I went through yesterday, this week, and I'm thinking about other people that
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. It's like, how do they handle it? How do they do it?
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's different. The solution might be different for everybody, but there are some basics that can apply to everybody, like the journaling, for instance. Um, and that's something you could even document. That could be what some of your TikToks are about. You could document, hey, this is what I'm going through. I'm building, I'm striving to build this business. I'm passionate about it. I'm not going to give up. I'm not stopping. And here's what I faced along the way, with family and friends, um, and here's how I dealt with it. And then down the road, once you've gotten through the higher hurdles, you might say, or the harshness, then you turn around, you're like, wow, that was rough back then. But now that I see where I got to, it was worth the price. So the price you pay. But I also want to say that add to the fact that that's the reason they teach the three P's, because you have to almost calendar it out and say, okay, this is how much time I'm going to dedicate to my business, and discuss that with your, there I go doing that again. um, this is the time that I'm going to set aside each week for my business. And these are the days and these are the hours I'm going to work on it. And then discuss that with your family. So everybody that's in your household that lives with you, you should bring them together and have a meeting. Say, look, this is what I would like to do is I want to work on my business on these days, these hours. And these are um, the Belinda zone. So in other words, when I'm in my zone, you know, you guys just let me focus, do my work. And but then set aside, and then also let them know, say, but I'm also going to set aside time for myself. And that's, where get in your exercise, if you do any of that, get in your healthy eating, and whatever it is that you do there. And then I'm also going to set aside time for you guys, you know and these are the days that I'm going to set those aside. Whether you guys participate or not, it's up to you, but I'm willing to spend this time with you and dedicate it to you, to where you're not feeling like when you come over, or when we have a family dinner, that I'm going to be on the computer doing my business. I'm going to shut it off, and that will bring some joy to your life. And that's like Liam says, live by your calendar. Set your calendar the way you want it. If you want your schedule to look a certain way, if you got think of it like your dream schedule. What would you be doing on a daily basis? You know, if you reach where you're wanting to go, in 5 years, 10 years from now, what would you be doing? So set your part of getting there is starting to do it, right? So set your schedule according to that. And in reality, of course, something that's attainable for your current situation. And then the cool thing about your schedule is you control it. So if you need to tweak it a little bit, and so say if you're going to add up the hours that you're awake, or add up the hours in the week, and divide them up. And matter of fact, part of that should be sleep. You should be getting a healthy sleep. Each person's different there too. Some people are great with 6 hours, 7 hours, some at 8, some at 9 and 10. you know but set your sleep schedule as well, and then stick to that calendar, live by it, and just know that, okay, I created this calendar. I'm gonna start creating these habits, and it also helps your family and your friends create the habits around that as well, because now they know, okay, well, Belinda's working, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. And then she's from 3 p.m. till I'm just throwing this out there, from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. She's dedicating that to family time, and then from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. she's exercising. You might get yours you might do that in the mornings, whatever. Um, and then you got just the you and your husband time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Block it out like that too. Just be like you and your husband time. Then you got you and your kids time, you and your best friends time. So, because family members will get very upset if they feel like you're spending more time with all these strangers online, if they don't understand. And they might say they understand, but you know, sometimes it's difficult for people to portray that. But it's great to have a sit down with all of them and just say, look, I'm bringing you guys together here tonight. I cooked a great meal for you, to bring you all together, and I'm bringing you together because I want to share something with you, and that is my schedule, because I want to make sure that I'm pouring some of myself into each of the three P's: the personal, the professional, the physical, goodness, help me out. The physical, the personal, and then explain to them what the personal is. The personal is friends and family time. And then the professional. And Jeff Lerner even says this. He says, because he's kind of added that 4P in there, purpose. And we talk about trying to build a business around your purpose, but many, many, many times it's not till we have perfected our three P's, which means we've perfected our calendar, that we actually find our true purpose. Like once we've perfected those and people start looking to you as an authority, because they're like, who controls all three in normal society? Most people just flail around, and they don't. Either they're all in on the physical but they don't do the personal, or all they do is hang out with friends and they don't focus on their physical attributes. There's usually one or two that they focus on, but they hardly ever focus on all three. And so that's going to cause you to stand out. And you'll soon, once you get in that place, which we're all working on here, then that's going to bring people to you. And that could change your whole passion down the road, because you might realize something else. Is that helpful?
Very helpful.
And
Very.
You think it's doable? Do you believe it's doable?
Yes, it is. I just need to do it like that. I have a tendency to just focus on the work like all the time.
Well, that's because
And
that's how we're raised. That's how we were raised. We were raised, you get out there, you hustle, you work hard. And now that you've done it for so many years, that now that you're in your mid-20s,
thank you.
but now that you've done it for so many years, you're just it's a habit. So if you take a step back, whenever you're facing frustration, especially around stuff like that, if you take a step back and look at yourself first, oftentimes you'll find that it's just a habit, because you'll say, well, this is how I've always done it. I've just worked hard, 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 and so part of doing this online journey in this style where you're focusing on the three P's is getting to where you enjoy the process. because if you don't enjoy the process, you won't stick with it long term. And then you'll give up, and then you'll be even more frustrated with yourself. And then somewhere down the line, you'll buy another course on something because you still have that itch, in your mind, in the back of your mind. You'll buy another course from somebody somewhere, and then you'll do the same thing. You'll get frustrated because you just barrel ahead. And I mean, we're all guilty. We all do the same thing. I'm the same way. I've been a hard worker my entire life. Hard worker. And my body's paid for it. I have a lot of problems now because of how I'm not only worked hard mentally, but I've worked hard physically, and it's taken a toll on me,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm glad I left construction when I did, because it was just doing more and more damage to my body, right? And people say, well, you're the boss, you don't have to do heavy work. Okay, yeah, whatever you say. Go start your construction company and see if that works for you. There's always times when somebody doesn't show up or something. If you got a customer to fulfill, a job to do, then you got to step in and do it. So anyway, that's a it's a great lesson for all of us, a great reminder for all of us. And once again, I'm preaching to myself just as much as I'm telling you about it.
Well, I think, and I've heard about journaling for many years, but to me, I think of it as like too much work. I don't want to do it because it's too much work. But I will go ahead and start doing that because I think it's a good thing. And a long time ago, let's just say in the 90s, I did write down some goals. And the years passed, and I came across that paper again, and I looked at it again to see if I accomplished any of it. No, I didn't accomplish any of it because I was the money that I wanted to use for my goals, I didn't, and it was for family, to help family. It just didn't work out that way because I ended up using it for something else. And I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't stick with it.
So think about that. Think about money the same way as you think about your calendar, or what I'm talking about right now, where you live by your calendar and you do what you say you're going to do for yourself and for your business and for your family, right? Same with money. If you've allotted money to something, don't steal it for something else. A lot of times, people build up a savings, and there's been various teachers on money and all this other stuff. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But like a lot of times you've probably been taught in your life at some point, you got to create a savings account that's for emergencies and emergencies only. Well, people, oh, that's a great idea. Woohoo. Okay. So they start dripping money into a savings account, every check or something like that. That's the first habit. But then as soon as that new car comes out, or that new TV, or some kind of new technology or something like that you're just like, wow. Or for some people it's clothing or purses, or vacations. Some people it's for vacations. They just, well, I deserve it, I can build that emergency savings back up, I'll just borrow from my savings account. Well, that's not what an emergency savings is for. They say today your emergency savings should pay all of your expenses, your household expenses, not just your expenses, but all of your household expenses, for at least 9 months at minimum, because it takes most people that long these days to get ramped up, get another job, or whatever, find a solution to the problem or whatever it may be. So you can't steal from your emergency savings, because what if that situation happens right after you stole from your emergency savings? And then you have a real emergency and you don't have money to live on now. Right? So think of money the same as your calendar. Like, you're going to set
rainy day Monday, rainy day money.
right. You're going to set aside money, let's say for your goals, these goals you were talking about, and you're just going to like create a whole nother account for it. Like, don't even keep it in the same savings account. Create a whole nother savings account and name it. You know, that's the cool thing about online banking these days. You can go in and name your accounts, and cool stuff you could do that before you had to do on paper and in check registers and all that good stuff. But set aside a savings account and just be like, this is for my goals, so that when I get to that point of doing them, I have the money to do it. And you don't touch it. It doesn't go to emergencies. It doesn't go to, you know, that's something that if you have an emergency and you haven't saved up an emergency fund, then you don't steal from your goal fund. You have to go out and create a solution to your not having a money problem. But if you steal from your goals, then you're sitting in a situation like you just talked about, where you ran across the paper from way back and you didn't do it because you stole the money that you had set aside for that, right?
Yep. Yes.
And and once again, that boils down to habits. If you're in the habit of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then guess what? You'll always rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
It works.
And my name's Paul, so you can just write those checks to me. Kidding, I do have an uncle named Paul, but so that's some really good meat and potatoes for today, really.
I
So
agree.
yeah, does that add some value to your life today?
It does. It does.
All right. And is it something that you believe you can implement?
Yes. Yes,
And
Wilson.
then another question would be, when are you going to implement it?
Mhm.
I guess I can start at the beginning of this month, because you know how people get paid uh twice bi-weekly, twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
every 2 weeks they get paid, or in some, most of the time. And then sometimes it's once a week, and then sometimes it's once a month. I've never had that once a month, but I have had once every 2 weeks. But for me, it's once a month, because that's when my rents come from my rentals. They come in the beginning of the month. And of course, I start paying on whatever, and I'm out of money by the 7th, the 8th. Got to wait a whole other month. So, and
Yeah.
it's tough because the way the economy is right now, if one of I've got 2 Airbnbs, if one of them is doing good, the other one isn't. The one in town's didn't do well this July, and the other one did. And sometimes it reverses. But when it first started, they were both doing really well. They were like, but now it's different. So I guess I have to go ahead and, as you talked about it, I wrote it down. I need to go ahead and start implementing as soon as, and you know what? It's not just affecting me. My tenants, they're struggling too. I have one who's like perfect. He does it a week ahead. I get his money a week ahead. He puts it in my account. He hasn't. And here we are, the 31st.
Follow up.
So
Just say, hey, are you still planning on, are you still planning on coming down this month? Or planning on staying on my property this month? That's all you got to do. But I wanted to go back to what we were talking about, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole too. So,
right, it is.
But once again, it comes down to habits, and my recommendation would be exactly what you just said, and that's start right away. Because if you're struggling in all the other areas, and things are, people are getting frustrated with you, and you're getting frustrated with other people, and it seems to be all based around the fact that they think you're spending too much time on this,
Mm-hmm.
then even if you had to put the brakes on this a little bit, you know, I would say it's important to get that calendar down. So just brainstorm or mind map, get a pen and paper out and just start writing down, these are all the things that I want to accomplish on any given week. Right? Like what you normally do. You spend time with family, you spend time on your physical, you spend time on your business, you spend time on your Airbnbs and on those clients. You definitely want to keep your clients happy, and then map that out. But like I said, a key component to being able to have others agree with you on, agree with you on you living by your calendar and like sticking to your calendar, is having that discussion with them. Get them all together. That way you can bang out any darts that they throw at you right then and there, and just say, look, here's my goals. This is what I'm trying to attain, what I'm going to attain. And here's why I'm doing it. And this is the schedule I'm going to have to live by so that I can pour some of my life into myself, some of my life into you guys, and some of my life into my businesses. Like you get to say businesses because you got the Airbnb, mm-hmm. Right? And for some people, here's X amount of time I'm going to have to pour into my job because that's a have to for a lot of people, So, and have that discussion and just say, hand out a copy of your calendar. And this is going to be what I'm going to start living by. And that way I can guarantee you that I'm going to be able to give you the time needed that you need. Right? Think of it like this. It's like the parents that they're doing this. And it breaks my heart all the time. Everywhere I go, I see this all the time. They got 2, 3, 4 kids hanging around them. They're theirs, and they're following behind like little ducklings or whatever. And the mom's like, "Oh, and oh my God, did you see Debbie?" And they're just on the phone all the time. And then the kid is over here saying, the kid might have hurt themselves or got a little cut or something like that. And they're like, Mom, wait a minute, Billy, wait a minute. Oh, that's just my kid. I'll be done in a second. Kids don't know slang. They don't know how to define slang, and when people say, I'll be done in a second, and you've taught them that a second is this, but yet you're still on the phone 10 minutes later,
right? Then
you've just lied to them, and you're challenging their beliefs on the things that they've been taught because they're wondering like, well, mom said it was a second. Like, she said she'd be done in a second. All the while I'm like bleeding out here. I'm a kid. Like, I feel like I'm bleeding out. It's just a paper cut, but they're trying to get mom's attention, and mom is blah, 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 and or this swipe, 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 and they're just on social media. And so kids then and this may have even happened when you were a child, before the phones, obviously, or these kind of phones. But then the kids sitting there thinking, well, I'm not important. Mom said she'd be with me in a second. I waited more than a second. Or mom said, I'll be there in a minute. And it's 30 minutes later. I waited a minute, and then I waited 5, and then I waited 20, and then I waited 30. And then I go back and I tug on her shirt and say, hey, mom. And she's still on the phone. And she goes, just a minute. So think about that as an adult too. We've gotten in this habit of where whatever we're doing in the moment is the most important, and we're going like this. Whatever we're doing in the moment is the most important. And you've got a husband that's going, hey, hey, hon, I need your attention. Just a minute. Then you got a kid saying, hey, mom, I really need to talk. Hey, just a second, kid. Just a second. I'm working on this business. Just a second. And then an hour later, you still haven't gotten to him. Right. So if
Yeah,
you
I
so
experienced that
yeah.
with the grandchildren and everything you're saying. But I did give the oldest one, I did give her some time. She wanted to make breakfast and she wanted me to watch her make some eggs. So I allowed that. And but and then here's what bothers me. She just came from her other grandmother, which is my husband's ex. It's like the ex is still in his life and controlling everything, kind of, sort of. And that is a frustration. I mean, I can't say nothing. She's telling me all this, what's happening over there, or what happened over there. And it's all negative. It's all bad. And my frustration is I can't do a thing to help these grandchildren because they're either over there 3 hours away or over there 10 hours away. And they're with us for just a short time. And I can't do anything about it.
Well, and that's what you should tell her. Hey, hon, I love you to pieces, and I'm sorry you're experiencing that. I mean, and I don't know the whole situation, so I can't give you straight advice, like super honed in advice on that. But what I could say is you have the conversation with her and say, I can't, my hands are tied when it comes to that situation. But while you're here, you see where I'm going with that? I don't have any control over that situation, but I have control over the situation when you're here with me. And so, and tell her, say, I want this to be a safe zone. So if you need to talk or whatever, and then you can explain to her this calendar too. And the cool part about like doing this, like living by your calendar and then taking that same habit and doing that with your money, taking that same habit, doing that with your friends and your family, is that you can teach that to the younger generations, like your grandkids and such, because nobody else is going to.
Right.
Right. And so part of the way of teaching it is doing it in front of them. And you do the same thing with the grandkids. Say, hey, look, this is my calendar right here. And look, I got time built in there for you. This is your time. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever. Here's Saturday over here. I got this time built in there for you. Do you see your name sitting right there? You see? And then that does something inside the kid. Like they've never even seen their parents do that. And they're like, wow, she's got time in her calendar set aside for me. And and then you give them that time. Like, don't be just a minute, just a second, just a minute. No, you dedicate that time where you're like this. So whatever it is on your calendar, you shut off your notifications, turn your ringer off your phone, and because you've already told everybody. Like, for instance, I tell people, this, I love this little switch that's right here on the side of my phone there, because it just silences everything, shuts off the vibrations, shuts off the ringer, shuts off the notifications. And I tell people, I'm like, you try to call me at night, you're not going to get me. And they're like, well, what if there's an emergency? I was like, well, I'll find out about it in the morning.
Right.
But I got to have my sleep, because otherwise I turn into a bear, you know, grizzly. Not necessarily a bear, but I can't function, you know. And there are times I definitely turn into a bear. I would say that's usually after I've gone through several days in a row with no sleep, you know, and then because I'm getting aggravated that I can't get anything done because I can't focus. I don't have
Right.
the energy to do it, which
Right.
is another reason why sleep needs to be on that calendar too. But the same thing for sleep would be for that little grandkid and be like, I want to show you something and show it to them. Don't just say it because they're used to these words meaning nothing from most people. Just a minute, when a minute doesn't mean a minute, that means this doesn't mean nothing. The words coming out of my mouth. And then show them, say, look, hey, grandkid, it's good to see you again. Before we get started with our time together today, I want you to see something. Watch this. Click. Phone
Mm,
goes up in the cabinet or wherever it is you put your phones when you're not wanting to look at them.
yes.
And you'd say, okay, time is yours. What do you want to do? And then you're like this with that grandkid.
Hmm.
Same with your husband. You know.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk with David for a second. Well, before we move on there, Belinda. Um, well, we'll just ask it just a plain question. Have you have you gotten your homework done this week or close to it?
I think the last time I told Liam that I was at 6.1, working on 6.2 or something like that.
Hmm.
And now I went through 6.3 and 6.4, but and they're short. They're 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but I have to go through them again because I really don't remember what it's about. And then the longer one will be the one after that, 6.5 or something like that. Yeah.
I think the homework was to get through the module 6 and the quiz. I think that was the only difference than the week before was that right there.
Yeah, and that was my intention to do that, but did I do it? No, I didn't. I didn't get to.
You still got today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep. So then do your calendar and put that in there, so you can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
All right, David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Before we
Good.
start, can I ask a favor?
Maybe you can
Yeah,
ask a favor. I don't know if I can give you
I
a favor.
surely can. Yep, I am able. I love that backdrop of yours.
Thank you.
And I have myself in a boat, not like that, but rowing. And I want to put it in right now. Can you tell me how?
Yeah, really easy. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Oh wait, you can't see. Never mind. I won't share my screen with you because you cannot see. I wish Zoom would let you see the Zoom, you know, but you
Right.
can't.
Can you tell me what button to press or whatever?
So if you go up to the top left of your screen and you see where it says zoom.us,
Yep.
click on that. It'll have a drop down.
Yep.
2 bars down is the word preferences.
Yep.
Click on preferences.
Yep.
And then you'll see general, video, audio, share screen, team chat, Zoom apps, and background and effects. You want background and effects.
I have general, video, audio, share screen. Oh, yeah. Background effects. Okay. Yep.
Hmm.
Click on that.
Click on that. You'll probably see your face pop up.
Yep.
And over to the right, underneath the big picture there, where you see your face,
Yep.
there's a plus sign.
Okay. Yep.
So you hit the plus sign and it says
Yep.
add image or add video.
Oh, you can do video. Wow.
Yep.
I don't have a video yet, but I will have one. Okay. All right. So now I'm
Don't
going.
recommend the video if you're trying to have conversations with people over Zoom and you want them focused on what you're talking about.
Yep.
because if there's a lot going on in the background, movement and such, that will distract your listeners and they will not be as engaged.
Right. That's cool. Yeah,
Uh,
this is
so you
so
just hit add image, then you upload your image. Once it's
right.
uploaded, you
I'm
select the
looking.
image,
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
and then you just once you select the image, then you close out that window, and that image will have changed on your Zoom.
Yep.
You can do it. You can do it right now, even as you're speaking.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for the picture. Oh, come on. Where was it?
Oh, pardon me.
There it is.
Either. Nice. There
All
you
right.
go. Now you've done it.
How cool is that?
Now you can play around with different pictures. So,
I love it. Thanks. Yeah. I'll have to do it soon so I don't forget how to do it.
well, and if you're doing it on Zoom, well, it's easy. Just remember you go to your main menu,
Yep.
preferences, and then backgrounds.
Zoom. You start with zoom.us and go from there. I can retrace my steps.
Yes, sir. And I'll post this replay too, so you can go back and view it if you need to.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
All right.
So,
You gonna be able to get your homework done before the coaching call this week?
I started on module 6. I did 6.1 so far. And I started 2 interactions with people, not necessarily in my group, but in Facebook is one of them, and another one is just message.
Okay.
And right now, it's a process of simply developing a rapport.
Nice.
And I feel comfortable about that. It's going on pretty good. And I'm going to tell you about one of them. One of them is a classmate from high school. We recently went to a memorial service for one of our classmates.
Sorry to hear that.
And Tom was there. I said, "Hey, Tom, you're going to go to our class reunion in September because we're having a class reunion." He said, "Yeah, I don't think so." And I said, "Well, you know what? You got to come. It'd be a lot of fun." And he still was still kind of negative. So I then in turn sent a text to Jay, who's also a fellow classmate, and say, "Hey Jay, can you give me Tom's message number, text, so I can text him."
We got
And
about
so,
2 more minutes, just letting you know. So we got about 2 more minutes. I do have a call at the top of the
oh, okay. Well,
hour.
I'll save it for later
Just want
then.
to let you know if you can speed that story up. I'm not trying to be mean, but
Yeah.
we're going to try to keep these calls to 50 minutes every week because we've been going way over, and my schedule is getting more and more and more packed. So
Yeah, you spent a lot of time with Belinda.
yes, sir.
All right. I was taking a lot of notes here while you were talking to Belinda about things I might say.
Yeah.
Uh, I can probably say some of this stuff to Belinda separately.
David, can you do it right after the call?
Sure. Okay.
And I'm sorry, David, but I do have another appointment. That's the thing.
Right. Okay.
So
He said simply to me, "You have a way with people," and because I was able to convince Tom to come to the reunion.
nice.
So that really raised me up, lifted me up, that he said that I have a way with people. So it gives me a little bit more optimistic feeling about being able to do something, and communicate, so that really uplifted me.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, good. And like I said, I'm apologize, but as far as all the little details from one conversation to the other, I was just trying to get to the meat and potatoes there. But and I can schedule a call with you at some point if you'd like. But like I said, we're trying to keep these calls to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And the stuff I was talking with Belinda about applies to all of us, and it's great habit, and I think it goes right along with getting stuff done.
Yeah. Real quickly then, can we schedule something later on? Because I'm making some progress with the ad, but I have to ask some key questions in order to effectively move forward. and I missed the office hours last night because I timed it incorrectly. So I had already registered for it, but I missed it because of the way I timed things. So I'll do it tonight, but I want to preempt that. I don't want to overrule it, but I want to have armed myself a little bit more information with that before I go. But if you can't do it today, then it's another day, I guess. But whatever.
Okay. Yeah, get with me through Messenger,
Yep.
and we'll get it scheduled. So we'll work something out. And guys, please remember, I'm also I'm a student, so I'm just trying to pour value from what I've learned into you guys' life to help out. So I don't necessarily have all the answers. And just please use your the chain of direction that Liam teaches. Like utilize Google, utilize your resources that you have at hand
Yep.
to try and find the solutions, especially if it's something that's been discussed multiple times through our coaching lessons. And then
Yeah,
try.
these are all nested within um, Ontrasoft, so you can't Google that. You can't Google in that stuff.
True, that's true. If it's within Ontrasoft, if it's technical issues,
Yeah, that's what it is.
that's office hours.
Right. I
They're
know.
going to be they're going to be best, because I myself am not a pro at Ontrasoft. I will promise you that.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to learn inside of there.
Right. That's my. I'm trying. I went back into earlier lessons modules to try and put pieces together, and it really wasn't working. So I need to do talk at one on one.
So I would say my first recommendation there would be, go ahead and schedule that office hours and don't miss it.
Yeah, I already scheduled it.
Okay, because those guys are brilliant. They'll jump in and they'll have your problem, taken care of so fast, and you'll be like, why was I struggling with this for so long? I think
Right.
I gave you an example of myself a while back, when I was struggling with some technical issues. And then finally I'm like, well, let's just get on. It's like you get this feeling you don't want to bother people,
Right.
but they're the right place to go. And they have to hang out there for that full
Right.
2 hours and wait for people. And some days they don't have anybody on there at all, even later on towards the call. So even if you don't have to be on there right on the hour,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I
Uh,
got on there 1 minute before it ended,
yeah. So
and I missed it.
uh,
I missed
yeah,
the window.
you don't want to do 1 minute before it ends, but get on there within a decent time frame to get your problem solved within that
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah. That was just accidental. I missed the window.
So they're going to be able to help you with that better than I would.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll go right to them. Don't worry about it.
So if you schedule a time with them to see if they can get that fixed for you, and if they can't, then message Liam and just say, here's what I'm facing. Is something that you can help me with. But if it's inside Entrasoft, um, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be.
It's
I'm
a
not going to.
technical issue. It's not a design issue. It's not a copy. It's not a copyright issue. It's a technical issue.
Okay. Yeah,
It's not
that's
like
all then.
it's not like what's the right copyright for this. It's not that kind of a question because my imagination runs wild with that kind of stuff. I can go on and on and have fun.
Right.
That's the thing, it is fun.
All right. Well, so next week, let's all jump on this call on time, and then I'll have more time for, that I can spread between people. Um, you know, and I'm at that point where all I have is my resources to go to. I don't have anybody to have a little extra help. So, um, you utilize those while you can, is why I say, because that's a super valuable resource. But guys, I do have to jump off here. I got 5 minutes to prep for my next call. So, but if you have any other questions or whatever, and you can't get anybody else to answer them in the order that you should ask them, then shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help you as best as I can.
Okay. And Belinda, give me a call, Belinda, whenever you're ready.
I'll I'll call you in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
guys. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great next couple days. And I will see you on the coaching call with Liam.
Wonderful.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, Wilson.
High 10, guys. High 10. See you later. That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, the ship I was on had cannons.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is an old timey ship, sail ship. So anyway, they wouldn't let me shoot one though. I was hoping to shoot one. All right. Appreciate
Later.
it, guys. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.